Okay, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to write this essay. All day today I've had a lot of people struggling with how to write this cause and effect essay about which event is the most important in the novel. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to write my spicy intro. Remember your spicy intro, there's 4 of them you can choose from. You could do history, you could do anecdote, you could do surprising statement, or you could do a famous person. Okay, now there's not really a famous person that I would want to write about for this essay, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And I can't really think of anything from history that would connect to this, so I'm going to get rid of that one. So the 2 options are really a surprising statement or an anecdote. Now I've seen a couple of surprising statements that were done well, but for the most part, surprising statements are really hard to do in an essay like this. So I'm going to do an anecdote. An anecdote is just a story. Okay? So to start off my essay, I'm going to start off with a story. When I was a kid, I loved to hang out with my friends. One day I was hanging out with my friends and I said a bad word. Unfortunately, my brother was with me and he heard everything. He went and blabbed to my parents. They got angry and washed my mouth out with soap. True story. It's really gross. But this connects to what happened in Charlotte Doyle, and here's where I'm going to make the connection. In in the True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle, Charlotte ratted out the crew to Captain Jaggery. Alright, now I need to include my claim. My claim is this is the most important event to the story because it was a catalyst for a lot of other important events. Now, a catalyst is something that jumpstarts something else. So this event was the most important because it was a catalyst for a lot of other important events. Now, my next 3 paragraphs, my effects paragraphs, or my paragraphs that talk about the reasons why that's the most important event, I'm going to list 3 things that were the result of Charlotte ratting out the crew to Captain Jaggery. So my next paragraph, first of all, Captain Jaggery got the guns out of the safe and went out onto the deck. This was significant because Jaggery was ready when the crew mutinied. If Jaggery didn't have the guns ready, then the crew would have had a chance to overrun Jaggery and possibly throw him in the brig. If that happened, maybe he would have been locked up for the rest of the voyage, but nobody would have been hurt. Second of all, which goes back to someone getting hurt, there were 2 important deaths because of what Charlotte did. Cranach was shot when he ran onto the deck and confronted Jaggery. Zachariah was murdered when he was punished by Jaggery. Both of these deaths were a result of Jaggery having the guns, which was the result of Charlotte warning Jaggery. Alright, so I've got 2 reasons so far. So all of this needs to tie back up here to the claim. I'm going to highlight the claim so you can keep it in mind. So her ratting out the crew is the most important event because of that, Jaggery got all the guns and got on the deck and prepared and ready to go. Secondly, Jaggery shot Cranach and Zachariah. Okay? And finally, the crew hates Charlotte now. They don't trust her because she ratted them out. Jaggery doesn't, I was going to say doesn't like her, but really he hates her because she whipped him. And so really, so she is left on her own with nobody to turn to. So, and I don't like the fact that it's only 2 lines, so I feel like I need to add another sentence to make it a full paragraph. Finally, the crew hates Charlotte now. They don't trust her because she ratted them out. Jaggery hates her because she whipped him. So she is left on her own with nobody to turn to. Well, sometimes if I don't know what to put, I'll put a bunch of underlines or I'll put some question marks so that I can come back to that later. Okay, and that's what I would recommend, because a lot of times you get stuck on something and then you stick with it forever and you don't get anything else accomplished. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away for a little bit and come back to it. So I'm going to come back to that paragraph. Now for the final paragraph, remember we need a counterargument and a what will happen next sentence or 2. So the counterargument is, some people argue that the moment Charlotte chooses to get onto the ship is the most important. However, so I acknowledge that there's another side. Some people think that that's the most important when she gets onto the ship. However, this is why they're wrong. Charlotte doesn't know. If Charlotte had listened to Captain Jaggery, she wouldn't have no, sorry, that's wrong. If Charlotte had listened to Zachariah, she would have been wary of Captain Jaggery, stayed in her room, most of the time, and would have had a peaceful voyage. Then I'm going to make a prediction. In the upcoming chapters, Charlotte is going to team up with the crew to fight against Captain Jaggery, and she is going to kill him. That's my prediction about what will come up next based on what we've read so far. So this is my essay. I know it's not the most fun to sit and listen to Mr. Stock talk about while I'm typing up an essay, but I needed you to see my thought process. I literally sat down and wrote this on the spot. So far we're at 11 minutes of writing. And it's a struggle sometimes. You can see I've still got the spot here that I'm going to come back to. But I struggled through it a little bit. I'm going to have to go back and reread some sections. But this gives you an idea of how to put together your essay. So let's go back to the part I need to fix. Finally, the crew hates Charlotte now. They don't trust her because she ratted them out. Jaggery hates her because she whipped him. So she is left on her own with nobody to turn to. This was a direct result of her telling Jaggery what she saw. If she had minded her own business, she could have continued to be friends with both Jaggery and Zachariah. Or, worst case scenario, the crew would have been better prepared to attack, and Jaggery would have been the only victim. Alright, so that's my essay. I'm probably going to go through and read it through a couple of times to make sure everything is perfect. I've got my sentences indented. Now I need to take that out. Okay, but this is what I'm looking for in your essay. Good luck to you. Let me know if you have any questions, but it's kind of what I'm looking for. Make sure everything focuses on which event is the most important. So this one's the most important, and these are the things that were the result of that event. All right. Happy writing.